Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I have big news to share, breaking news. The FBI just announced a new January 6th conspiracy case. This case involves 6 completely different people that we haven't heard of before. It's 6 men from my area of the country, from Southern California, and no surprise, they have ties to Trump's buddy and scum of the earth, Roger Stone. I know, you're all shocked. So here's the deal. 56-year-old Alan Hostetter is his name, yeah, is a resident of San Clemente. He's also a former police chief from the city of La Habra, and he's accused of founding an organization in the spring of 2020 called the American Phoenix Project. So this organization he created to oppose the COVID restrictions in this state. Prosecutors say that Hostetter and 5 other members of that organization were arrested just yesterday, June 10th, and all 6 have been indicted by a grand jury. The other 5 men are 40-year-old Russell Taylor of Ladera Ranch, 45-year-old Erik Scott Warner of Menifee, 47-year-old Felipe Martinez, who also goes by Tony Martinez, of Lake Elsinore, 39-year-old Kinnison of Lake Elsinore, and 51-year-old Ronald Mele of Temecula. It's spelled M-E-L-E, so I believe it's Mele. Anyway, all 6 of these men have been indicted on charges of conspiracy, obstruction of an official proceeding, and unlawful entry in a restricted building or grounds. However, Russell Taylor was also indicted on 1 charge of civil disorder and 1 charge of unlawful possession of a dangerous weapon on Capitol grounds. And Scott Warner and Kinnison were also hit with an additional charge. They got hit with tampering with documents or proceedings, which I'll explain. So this is a bit long. This is a longer show than what I typically do, but just hang in there. So there's a lot of information. It was a very long indictment that I read through. There's also another individual mentioned in this indictment, and they only say that this is person 1. That's how they refer to them. Now, I mention this person because I'm going to need to refer to them to explain what went down, and also because person 1 was in DC on January 6th. So there's no details about what that person did in DC when they were there, but he or she could be indicted in the future. According to the indictment, Hostetter and person 1 became the director of this American Phoenix Project in the fall of 2020. And they say that in or around November 2020, Hostetter began using the organization's platform to incite and advocate the use of violence against basically anyone who accepted the results of the presidential election. So, for example, on November 27th, he posted a video on the group's YouTube channel. Now, he had taken the video several weeks earlier when he was driving to DC at that time for the Million MAGA March. That was one of the marches that preceded the January 6th attack. In it, he said that Trump votes were stolen and switched to Biden, no shock. And then he said, quote, "Some people at the highest levels need to be made an example of with an execution or 2 or 3. Because when you commit treason against this country and you disenfranchise the voters of this country and you take away their ability to make decisions for themselves, you strip them of their constitution rights." Constitution rights. He goes on to say, "That's not hyperbole when we call it tyranny. That's fucking tyranny." Okay. And tyrants and traitors need to be executed as an example. I'm going to DC. I'm going to be there on Saturday for this march. I hope there are 1 million patriots there. Between that's going to be a shot across the bow of the deep state when they see 1 million patriots surrounding that shithole of a city, the swamp, because it's going to make all those swamp creatures know that at any time we want, we'll come back with 1 million patriots and we'll surround that city. There's going to be 1 million of us showing up to make this statement here in Washington, D.C. And I'm telling the swamp right now that we will be back if this doesn't get resolved peacefully and soon. So then on December 12th, the group held a Stop the Steal rally in Huntington Beach. Now, Hostetter spoke at this rally. And again, he encouraged more violence. So he said, we're going to fix this before this is all over. There absolutely must be a reckoning. There must be justice. President Trump must be inaugurated on January 20th, and he must be allowed to finish this he must be allowed to finish this historic job of cleaning out the corruption in the cesspool known as Washington, D.C. The enemies and traitors of America, both foreign and domestic, must be held accountable, and they will. There must be long prison terms, while execution is just punishment for the ringleaders of this coup. So I find it hysterical that these people believe that the most corrupt president in modern American history was cleaning up corruption. It's unreal how little they know. Every time they talk, they just prove that they don't investigate at all, that they don't do any research, that they literally just take him at his word. Because there's no way, if you knew anything about the last 4 years, you could never make that statement. And it's even more hysterical that they don't see that the only ones who attempted a coup was them. They're the cuckoos, you could say. And this indictment goes on to explain how these men planned and coordinated this attempted coup, including travel arrangements and the trip to DC. So here's the details on that. On December 20th, for example, Russell Taylor renamed their encrypted app. They had a channel on there, I believe it was on Telegram. They named that channel for this group the California Patriots Answer the Call, January 6th. So sounds like they're planning for January 6th, right? Together, which makes it a conspiracy. On December 24th, Ronald Mele posted on Facebook saying that he and others were going to drive to DC together. And he said, quote, arriving Jan 5th, to support our president on the 6th and days to follow just in case. In case what? I mean, he also said that they were going to rent a Suburban because they, quote, need room for the gear. And it's very clear in this indictment what gear they were referring to, which I'm going to explain in just a second. So on December 29th, Taylor posts the following on Telegram. He says, quote, I personally want to be on the front steps and be one of the first ones to breach the doors. So they already knew what they were planning to do. They knew that they weren't just going there to support Trump. They knew they weren't just there to hear his speech. They had every intention of illegally entering that building. Then this exchange is really damning in regard to weapons. Hostetter texted Taylor in December and said, quote, I'll be heading to DC on 12/31. Let's hook up on 12/30 so you can give me your backpack. And he followed that sentence. This is the real damning part. He followed that sentence with the emoji of hatchets. So there were 3 hatchet emojis after that. Taylor replied to him saying, quote, oh shiz, I need to pack that up. Are you bringing firearms? Hostetter then replies to him saying, quote, no, never. He capitalizes it. And then in parentheses, he writes, Instagram now monitors all text messages. This has been a public service announcement. And he followed that sentence with 3 laughing emojis. So they were planning to bring weapons, and as you're going to see, they did. So apparently some of these men were scheduled to speak on January 5th. There was a rally outside of the Supreme Court the day before. So on December 30th, Taylor posted about this planned speech on Instagram, and he said, quote, "Spread the word to other California patriots to join us as we march into the Capitol Jan 6. The plan right now is to meet up at 2 occasions and locations. 1, Jan 5th, 2 p.m. at the Supreme Court steps for a rally. Myself, Alan, and others will be speaking. 2, Jan 6th, early 7 a.m. meet in front of the Kimpton George Hotel. We will leave at 7:30 a.m. sharp and march 15 minutes to the Capitol to meet up with the Stop the Steal organization and surround the Capitol. There will be speakers there, and we will be part of the large effort for the wild rally," and he put that in quotes, "that Trump has asked us all to be a part of." And as you all recall, Trump said, "Be there on the 6th, will be wild," which of course, if he didn't mean for people to attack the Capitol, if he didn't mean for it to become a riot and an insurrection, then what did he mean by will be wild? What, because he gave a speech? That's wild? He does that all the time. He can't get enough of himself. So then on January 1st, Taylor created another Telegram chat called the CA Patriots DC Brigade, so California Patriots DC Brigade. That group, that chat group, had an about section that stated, quote, "This group will serve as the comms for able-bodied individuals that are going to DC on Jan 6. Many of us have not met before, and we are all ready and willing to fight. We will come together for this moment that we are called upon." I mean, first of all, that makes no sense, that last line, but whatever, what can we expect? Also on January 1st, Taylor sent several messages to the group saying, quote, "This thread is exclusive to be utilized to organize a group of fighters to have each other's backs and ensure that no one will trample on our rights. Also, if there is a key intel that we need to be aware of for possible threats. I am assuming that you have some type of weaponry that you are bringing with you and plates as well." So very clear. I mean, they use the word fight, fighters, talking about bringing weapons. Oh, but this is a peaceful protest. He also asked if anyone in the group had law enforcement or military experience or, quote, "special skills relevant to our endeavors." But yeah, like I said, peaceful protest, right? These people weren't planning anything. They were just there to kiss the police, take pictures of them. Such a bunch of bullshit. So anyway, all 6 of these men joined this group chat along with 30 other people. So no mention as to what's going on with these other 30 people, but Kinnison posted a picture of himself to the group with Martinez and Warner, and he said in part, quote, "We are 3% SoCal. Also coming with us is Redline Ron," which refers to Ron Mele. And in another post, he said that Mele and Warner were, quote, "part of SoCal 3%. We work well and train with each other." Tell me more. He then confirmed that they would have weapons. He said, quote, "Leaving tomorrow and driving instead of flying because our luggage would be too heavy. We will have lots of gear from medical kits, radios, multiple cans of bear spray, knives, flags, plates, goggles, helmets. I think we should clear all text in this chat the morning of the 5th, just in case for OPSEC purposes." So they knew what they were doing was wrong. They were bringing weapons, and then they were plotting already before they even attacked the Capitol to clear the chat, to get rid of the evidence against them. Then on January 2nd, they continued to discuss what weapons they could bring to DC, and Taylor told them, quote, hatchet, bat, large metal flashlight. I believe that you can carry most fixed blades, just not into the government buildings. Something tells me, though, if we are inside government buildings, it won't be on the top of our list. Yeah. Also, on January 2nd, Kinnison wrote to Mele and Warner and Martinez, and he asked them if they were sure they wanted to bring a, quote, shoddy and a, quote, another long iron. Mele replied to that saying, quote, shorter the better. Mine will be able to be stashed under the seat. I'll bring it 18-inch barrel. So these guys were all about the weapons. What were they planning to do with those weapons? What were they for? But no, this was a peaceful protest. These were just people taking a tour. They were on a tour of the Capitol. So Kinnison messaged them again later that same day, and he sent them a selfie showing himself wearing a bandolier of shotgun ammunition. So he had a shotgun ammunition bandolier around his body, and he said, quote, got the bandolier. The next day, Hostetter posted the following on Instagram. He said, quote, only 3% of Americans actually fought in our war of independence. There will likely be 3% of us again that will commit fully to this battle. But just as in 1776, patriots will prevail. Things are going to come to a head in the US in the next several days. Stay tuned. Over the course of these few days leading up to January 6th, there were messages, multiple messages about radio use and earpieces, what frequency they plan to use to communicate. Then on January 5th, Taylor actually spoke on the steps of the Supreme Court, and he said in part, these anti-Americans have made the fatal mistake, and they have brought out the patriots' fury onto these streets, and they did so without knowing that we will not return to our peaceful way of life until this election is made right. Our freedoms are restored and America is preserved. So this makes clear they had no intention of stopping. January 6th was not it. And again, he uses fatal mistake. I mean, these guys are calling for war. I mean, when you mention 1776, you're calling for war. And you're saying fatal mistakes, we're going to fight, fighters, you're bringing weapons. Gee, how do we come to the conclusion that these people had bad intentions? It's a mystery. So that night, this is on January 5th, the night before the insurrection, around 11:30 p.m., Taylor posted a photo on the encrypted messaging app, and he showed different items that were arranged on his hotel room bed. And he put a message, he included the message, quote, now getting ready for tomorrow. Here's what was in that photo. It showed a backpack, a plate carrier vest, 2 hatchets, a walkie-talkie type of radio, a stun baton, a helmet, a scarf, and a knife. That's what he took on January 6th. So the next day, January 6th, after Trump's speech, all of these men, these defendants, and others who the FBI is referring to as known and unknown. So there's probably more to come. We're probably, just like with the Oath Keepers indictment, we're probably going to see quite a few superseding indictments adding people. That's just my take on the whole thing. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So all of these people walked to the Capitol together. there was a video that Taylor made, and you could hear police sirens in the background, and you could see officers standing nearby. So they clearly knew, we're not supposed to go over there. There wouldn't be sirens going off if they were supposed to go to the Capitol. If everything was kosher, everything was fine, there wouldn't be sirens. And in this video, Taylor says, quote, "We'll see who these guys end up working for," referring to the police officers. So all 6 of them, they made their way down to the Capitol. While they were there, throughout the indictment, they're talking about how they were encouraging and taking part in the violence once they reached the Capitol. I'm going to cover more specifics on that in the video shorts that I create for each of them. But after the fact, they were all bragging about it on social media and on Telegram. And they plan to continue with this. Again, they plan to continue with this attempt to overthrow the government. After January 6th, Hostetter posted a photo on Instagram, and it's a photo that he took at the Capitol. And he said, quote, "This was the shot heard round the world, the 2021 version of 1776. That war lasted 8 years. We are just getting started." And Taylor sent a message to several people. And when one of them asked, "What's next?" meaning after this whole thing that happened on January 6th, he said, quote, "Insurrection." And 2 of them took steps to hide the evidence after the fact. So they were talking about hiding evidence before that day even came, but then after January 6th, they actually tried to hide information. So in the indictment, it says that Derek Kinnison and Erik Warner deleted the Telegram chat, the DC Brigade Telegram chat group, from their cell phones. And they say that they purposely did it to try to hide the information from the grand jury. So these guys are in a world of trouble. They're looking at decades in prison. Personally, I can't wait to get them out of Southern California. Bye-bye. I'm here if you want help packing. Where you're going, you won't need much, but I'll come help. Need a ride to the airport? I'm here. I'll help. Just ask. I'm your gal. Anyway, guys, so like I said, I will share more of the details of what specifically they did once they reached the Capitol in the video shorts on YouTube. So anyone listening on the podcast, please be sure to head over to YouTube and check those out. I probably have those up over the next week. Believe it or not, those little 60-second, 120-second video shorts I do, they take me hours to create. Literally, it takes like about 2 hours, possibly even more. Anyway, I will have those up over the coming week, hopefully. And if there's more information on this, I will definitely let you know. So as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Please make sure to head down to the description box, join and, hang out with me once a month, become a friend of the show, or if you can't become a friend, then please at least become a supporter so that I can share more information like this with you guys. So take care. I'll talk with you guys soon.